the managing partner of Economic Leadership. He is an expert when it comes to solving this workforce challenge, and he just gave an outstanding presentation earlier today up at NSU, and he joins us right now via the phone. Ted, welcome to North Dakota. It's great to have you back, and thank you for giving us some of your time today.
Thanks, Chris. It's a pleasure to be with you today.
So I had a chance to listen to more of your presentation as I was driving back to the studio. I wanted to hear the whole thing, and you really gave out some stunning stats. I'm curious since obviously everybody in town couldn't be at your talk today, what do you think is the most important thing people should know from your conversation today that couldn't be there?
Well, I think one of the things that I find is when I'm anywhere I go in America, and I get to be a lot of places, that people are pretty hard on themselves. They're pretty sure that they're just not doing enough. And the first takeaway is that your growth rate for labor here in the region is about 3 times the national average. It's almost 40% growth over the last 20 years. Your participation rate, that's the adults that are actually working, is 10 percentage points higher than the national average. And so you've been doing a lot of things right, but it hasn't solved the problem. And so while you get a lot of gold stars for all the work that's happened, there's so much opportunity here that we talked to over 100 business leaders, and every one of them told us they needed more people. It was the only way they were going to be able to grow, and they were ready to grow if they could find more people. So that's the first takeaway, is a lot of good work that's been done, but the challenge is still there.
So how do we solve that problem? Because one of the things that jumped out to me that you were talking about is, look, when you look at the Fargo-Moorhead Metro, for example, we've done a pretty good job here pulling people out of rural communities, out of North Dakota, Minnesota, but not such a good job recruiting people from maybe Omaha, Denver, Chicago, things of that nature. And what, again, I was driving in my car, but what I took away from what you were sharing was, hey guys, you just can't keep doing this for another 10 years and expect to solve the problem. So how do we improve the branding here within our community to start to pull more people south of our southern border here in North Dakota, South Dakota?
Yeah, so you're absolutely correct that almost all the major places that people have moved from into the metro have been from either Minnesota or North Dakota. A couple South Dakotans moved over the line too, but you aren't getting much further than that. And the negative there is that rural areas have been shrinking around the country, and so you've already brought that crop in. So now the question is, how do you get people from Minneapolis or Chicago or Denver or somewhere to move here? And the good news is that your overall set of statistics about the community are pretty good. You're safe. You're fairly affordable. You're right at the national average. So you're affordable compared to bigger cities. Your health care is very good. Your K-12 education is good. You've got higher education institutions that are well respected. So you're already selling something pretty good. The problem is nobody knows it. And the brand of the region is either non-existent or is whatever somebody has helped you, has named you as in some other way. And so there are only a few ways to grow workforce. You can attract people from somewhere else to move to your community. You can keep more people in your community, so more college students, people that would move out. You can bring in immigration. You can get more people off the sidelines. So as veterans transition or mothers who are currently reluctant because of daycare costs, you can get them back in. Or you can have more children and wait 18 years and see if that helps. But you're already one of the top places in the country for that. So we've got to find ways to attract more people, keep more of those students here, and get some people off the sidelines and back into the labor force that might have gone off, the work roles when we had the pandemic.
If you're just joining us, Ted Abernathy is a managing partner at Economic Leadership. He's in town today talking about how do we solve this workforce issue that just continues to sort of permeate so many different aspects of our economy and our lives. And we've been talking about that for quite some time here in our area. One of the things that jumped out, Ted, from your conversation today is you looked at cost of living. And at one point, it was pretty decent in our area. But you said, right now, if you look at cost of living in the Fargo-Moorhead Metro, it's not as tantalizing. Let's put it that way. And I think you talked about Sioux Falls and Cedar Falls. Like, a lot of people are going to look at it and go, hey guys, I'm in a good community. I got a good gig. And if I move to Fargo, my cost of living actually goes up. And oh, by the way, one piece of data I'm not sure if you've seen, but I would guess it was maybe 8 years ago or so, they also did a study on wages in our community and wages for, engineers and some really astute careers were actually below the national average. So if the wages are below the national average and cost of, we're in trouble. How do you, what do we need to do to be better at that?
Yeah. So first, everybody's cost has gone up recently. I think I said that today that your housing costs are up 19% over the last 2 years, but in some hot markets, they're up 40, 50%. So it's all relative, but your overall cost of living now is a little over the national average and driven a lot by housing costs, daycare costs, things like that. Your wages, you do have both a lot of lower wage jobs in the area, but also exactly what you said, jobs that are in the exact same occupation that pay a little bit lower. Those are market things. So the scary part is that East Coast, West Coast, right now with remote work, a lot of companies are looking out in the Midwest, the upper Midwest, and looking for those trained people. More money, they could work remotely, live here, but they're going to work for a company that's based in San Francisco or New York or Boston. And that's a new trend, sort of post-pandemic, that ought to give people here a little bit of pause. I would be worried about those issues. Wages always matter. People move when they think they're going to improve their quality of life and their work-life balance. So the quality of life is a lot of times about what you can afford in a community. And it's time to start paying attention to it and not selling it without researching. Just saying we're really affordable. You are. If someone's moving from San Diego, you're really affordable. But if someone's moving from Davenport, you're not. You're a little bit more expensive than they are.
When I was just talking to a friend of mine today that's in the tech world, he mentioned the same thing. Like you've got a lot of coastal companies now looking internally, meaning inside the Midwest, to pay people. And because that's my question, how does a local company compete with a Facebook, a Google, these companies that can scale, have got a lot of cash flow when maybe you don't if you're a smaller local company?
Yeah, I think most people, every now and then in life, you'll get bought by the large green stack in front of you. But most people understand that there's more about the quality of a job than just the salary. So being someone stuck out in the Midwest, and I like the Midwest, but if your boss is in Boston and you don't ever see them, the odds are that that's not going to be as good a job as you might want. Now, pure remote, a lot of people really like that these days. And our company has a lot of remote workers, but I think that we have to look at retention strategies at our companies. We need to rethink. We need to value our workers. In the end, the marketplace will determine those wages, but it's just a new threat that comes along. And use the strength that you have as a community. You have limited problems with traffic here. Your safety is good. Your health care is accessible. You're still selling a package overall, and it's okay to be worried about it because that makes you sharpen the pencil a little bit more. But overall, you're still in pretty good shape.
If you're just joining us, Ted Abernathy, managing partner at Economic Leadership, talking about solving the workforce issue that we face right here in our community. He's going to stick around for another segment. A couple of things I want to touch on, Ted, is one, so if I'm a business owner, we have a lot of business owners that listen to this show. What are some things you think I should be looking at to help, entice some more people to come work for me? How do I solve this problem for myself personally? And then secondly, I want to visit with you about immigration. We've got this daycare challenge here, but also immigration. Estoy estudiando español ahora. So I'm wondering, could we have a super highway from, the southern border up here into North Dakota? Some people scoff at me when I say that, but I think the values line up with what's going on here in North Dakota with a lot of Hispanics and Latinos. So I want to have that conversation with you when we come back.